Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, coming to you today, talking about episode 29. Episode 29 is going to be titled Patriotic Responsibility. Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is episode 29. Thank you all for everybody that watches. I've seen we already had just on Rumble, 13 people watched the podcast over the last couple of days, and my other two platforms. There was a few on YouTube, and there was and on Podbean they only count downloads, so I don't know exactly how many people are watching the podcast, but that's cool that people are downloading it and people are actually watching it on Rumble. I really appreciate that. Remember, when you're on any of those platforms, you have a chance to follow or subscribe or receive notifications. Go ahead and click those buttons, and every time I publish, y'all get a link to be able to go watch it. Okay, and go back and watch some of the earlier episodes. I was talking to a friend of mine that lives in Florida, and he subscribed yesterday to the Rumble site, and we were actually talking about elections with nonpartisan elections going on and stuff, and I said, "Wow, I just did a podcast, episode 26. Go back and listen to it." And he said he was going to go do that, so it'd be great. Remember that, Sam, when you hear this podcast, go back to episode 26. Okay, thank y'all, everybody who watches. This is episode 29, Patriotic Responsibility. And the reason why I call it that is a couple of days ago, the president was talking with someone. I think it was an interview on one of the network TV stations. Since he won't go on the conservative stations, he wants to stay on the liberal ones. But he said, it is our patriotic responsibility to continue to wear a mask. I don't understand where he's coming by saying that. It seems to me that, I think it's a bunch of unions and liberal bias that are influencing his actions and actually pulling his puppet strings. Okay, I really hope he doesn't believe everything he's saying, that he's just being influenced to say those things. He's been vaccinated since December. Okay, he was president-elect at the time. They made sure him and Kamala Harris were fully vaccinated. Everyone in Congress has been vaccinated. I think over 100 million Americans are fully vaccinated. And you just listen to the stuff coming out of the medical community. The chances of passing on or attracting the coronavirus with after you're fully vaccinated is extremely slim to none. Okay, he should be showing confidence that the vaccine works. When you tell people to go out and get a shot in the arm, how about just saying go get vaccinated? You say it works. Then you show up and you wear a mask. You wear a mask inside. You wear a mask outside. And if I had the capability of showing video right now, I just don't have the time to do some of that stuff. But he was at a rally in Atlanta, Georgia. Not a rally. He was in a drive-through theater experience with those two senators from Georgia. One's a real senator. The other is, I think I'm a preacher. I'm not too sure, but I want to represent you and not stand for nothing. But he's going to get beat in 2022 anyway. And I hope Herschel Walker runs against him. They were there and they were playing some background music, and the president was like flipping through binders and looking inside and all around his podium, Um, and he looks up at the mic and says, "Oh, hey folks, I'm looking for my mask." And it was like a circus. So they were playing games with the American people, and some staffer came up from behind, and it looked like he either put a mask in the podium in the president's pocket or handed it behind his back to Joe Biden, and the non-doctor Dr. Biden gave the president a mask. It looked like a giant fiasco, and it's completely embarrassing to what we're going on. But call it our patriotic responsibility to wear a mask when you're already vaccinated is utterly ridiculous. And all it is shaming Americans into continuously wearing that thing, even though we're already inoculated to it, or instilling fear into us to keep us obedient to their liberal causes, which doesn't make any sense. They just want power. They keep us subservient to them, even though they should be subservient to us. Okay, they're the government. They're not dictators, they're not kings, they're not queens. They're the government, and they serve us. We don't serve them. I've looked at that since I've been elected. I serve the people that voted for me. They don't serve me. Okay, and it's the way all people should feel. What the Democrats are doing is just a pure power grab. They figure that if they can keep the fear instilled in us about coronavirus, okay, if they can keep that up, they can continuously keep passing coronavirus rescue plans, and rescue plan this, rescue plan that. And while the economy is on a steamroll of about 6 to 7%, which I heard on Friday, and we don't need economic assistance. We're doing just fine. Lift the stupid restrictions to take the power away from the government, and people will go back to work. Stop giving them unemployment assistance that they don't really need, and let them go back to work. The more money you give people, the less incentive they are going to get back out their economy and produce what they need to be doing, and the unemployment rate will come up, and you'll get full employment again. Or else you can sit at home, live in a utopian society, and keep getting paid until the money runs out. Or wait a minute, the money's already ran out. We need to take our country back and make the politicians understand that they serve us. Stop spending all of our money on needless things, and let us do what we're supposed to do. Why is the government so apt to want to take away our rights? Our rights are guaranteed under that thing called the Constitution of the United States. That is our patriotic responsibility, is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign, domestic. Okay, some of us know that oath. I've taken it several times in my life, including as a politician. Some people take it hard, some people don't. Okay, but one thing I heard this morning on the news, I couldn't believe it. Well, one of the problems with about getting back to full employment is you can't get your kids in school. So when you can't get your kids in school, what happens? Well, one of the parents got to stay home, because you're not going to let your kids get on Zoom and WebEx and stuff like that to be able to go through their education for the day without any adult supervision. That'd be nonsense. Okay, so you got about half the country, especially in the big cities, the kids aren't going back to school full time because there's a parent. There's not a parent. I'm sorry. There's a teachers union out there called the American Federation of Teachers. It came out this morning they weren't just lobbying the CDC. Why would the AFT even lobby the Centers of Disease Control? But the CDC was sending their policies over to the American Federation of Teachers for their approval, and they would send back corrected copies to the CDC, ensuring that the teachers wouldn't have to go back to the school for eons. And now it's on to the point, it's the beginning of May. If they were to start back to school full time right now, they'd be in school for less than a month and they'd be out for the summer. And then they'd get to start back. They've had a year and a half almost of not having to be in the classrooms to teach our children their 3 R's. Okay? Now, it's reading, writing, which starts with a W, reading, writing, and arithmetic, okay, which it starts with A-L, but they call it the 3 R's because if you enunciate it, reading, writing, and arithmetic, okay, not social justicing, not critical race theory, no, the 3 R's, that and science and history, to make them good American, good American, well-rounded Americans that can compete on the international stage for hard-hitting technical jobs that we need to expand ourselves into the 21st century. But we have the AFT out there not just lobbying, but influence the CDC on their policies. The CDC answers to the White House. They don't answer to the unions. That's the problem with a lot of the unions. They wield so much power, especially the governmental unions, SIEUs and stuff like that, that go out there and they contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to Democrat causes, so they can get Democrats elected without even considering what happens to individual Americans. They could care less. You know, everything they do is politically motivated. The deal about the $15 an hour. We need $15 an hour. Good union pay. Well, you know, the average union person makes close to $30 to $35 an hour. That $15 ain't gonna matter to them. They just wanted to rub their noses, thumb their noses at the Republicans, just so they could try to exert some political influence over them to try to get elected. And then Republicans are standing for the small business people, the minorities of the country now. And, you know, if you don't think that blacks and Hispanics are a rising tide inside the Republican Party, you're sadly mistaken. The rich, aristocratic type Americans out there that are white and stuff, they're floating back toward the Democratic Party. They don't care about us Americans, us hard-working small business Americans. Our patriotic responsibility is to take care of us, not to shame us, not to ridicule us. You know, I went and voted yesterday here in Texas. We had a bond election here. We were trying to build a new jail here in my county, and it was a bond election to spend about $30 million to build a new jail. It failed by a sizable amount, but when I went and voted, there was a sign on the door that said "mask required." You know, I was like, "What?" I instantly went from a really good mood to a really foul mood. I was like, great. And I walked inside, put my mask on, went and voted, and I left. I'm thinking, this is crazy. And I put up a Facebook post about it a little while ago. Yesterday afternoon. And And I got some responses back on it and said, oh, wait a minute. My wife mentioned it to me, and I went ahead and I was like, you know what, let me write my elections person. And so in Texas, is a tax assessor collector. He runs elections in most counties. And he wrote me back and said, masks aren't required. That's not enforceable. There was someone, the precinct captain or the senior person at that polling station had put up a sign that said mask required. He took care of it. But we got people that are making up the rules as they go without any consideration to us Americans out here. Okay? They are not. They don't care. They want to do their own thing. Me, personally, before I was fully vaccinated, I wore a mask everywhere I went because it was my choice. Okay? I didn't want to be forced into that choice. That was my choice. But my feeling is that after I receive my 2 shots, take the mask off. I'm good to go. That's like when you think patriotic responsibility. We talked about the Constitution, how we should support and defend it, and how crazy the Democrats are just trying to seize and hold on to power. Yesterday they thought they were going to win, or at least getting the runoff in the Texas 6 congressional district because of Congressman Wright passing away. Guess what? They lost. The runoff election is going to be, I believe, June 5th, and it's going to be between 2 Republicans to fill the 2-year requirement for Congressman Wright. Democrats are gone. They lost a special election they thought was going to be competitive. Hope people remember that. But that'll probably be thrown on the trash heap of history because the left won't want to talk about it because it's a stain on the Democrat Party. Joe Manchin, I still don't get this guy. He serves in a pure red state, and even though he's a moderate Democrat, they keep shaming him in his own party, and I don't understand why he just doesn't switch over and become a Republican. They'll gladly receive him in a state no matter which party he's in. But the way he votes and the way he believes, he has a lot of more conservative feelings in him than he has liberals, and he should convert over. This week he was talking about he fully believes that H.R. 1 is wrong for our country, and that if you want Washington, D.C. to be a state, Congress needs to produce a recommendation for a constitutional amendment and let it go before all the state legislatures in the United States to get the okay for them to be a state. Patriotic responsibility. Think about the things that our soldiers do, sailors, Marines, the spacemen, the Air Force, what they do on a daily basis. When we go downrange and fight, like I did in Iraq and Afghanistan and in the first Gulf War, I've left lots of friends that didn't come back. Okay, how did it feel to go on a mounted combat patrol and get killed right outside of an Iraqi IP station? How would it feel like being in Afghanistan and being in a Ranger unit, and my buddy, he volunteered to go on a patrol with Rangers in a long-range surveillance company. He signaled, just like I was. He got his weapon, went on patrol with them, and got killed. He was doing his patriotic duty to support and defend the Constitution. He was there with his battle buddies. Don't explain to me what patriotic responsibility is. Another one of my soldiers, he was in another platoon here on Fort Hood on November 5th. He was doing his patriotic responsibility. He went down there on November 5th, 2009 to complete his waiver so he could deploy with us because he wanted to deploy. And Justin DeCrow, when he went down there, he was waiting in a room full of other people, and the murderous traitor Hassan, won't even mention the rank he used to hold, but the murderous traitor Hassan did a Muslim terrorist attack on our country and killed 13 Americans in the SRP room on Fort Hood. Were they doing their Patriotic Responsibility, or was that murderer doing it? No, it sure wasn't that murderer. It was those soldiers that were both active duty and Army Reserve and DA civilians that were doing their job to get soldiers ready to go downrange. What about those law enforcement officers and those firefighters out there serving us every single day, and hoodlums going up and killing them, walking up to the vehicle, firing them, putting little piggies on their cruisers and singing to them, ambushing them. We had a DPS officer last month. He pulled over to stop this guy, to help this one guy near Mejia, Texas. He pulled his cruiser over because the guy had his car pulled over with the hood up. He pulled over, and before the trooper could get out of his cruiser, the guy came out, pulled a weapon, and shot the trooper dead, and then took off. He killed himself. But these guys are out there doing their best every single day, whether it be New York City or Fort Worth, Texas, or Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, California. You got guys over and over again trying their best to serve their community, and they get spit upon. And all people look at is, when they look at ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, and time after time after time, they look at these law enforcement people as crooks and crooked and unbiased and racist and profilers, and they're not all like that. Whichever organization you're in, you're going to have people that break the law. It doesn't mean the whole bunch of them are. It's the same thing with owning weapons. I'm a very big pro 2A person, and I'm a constitutional carry person. But just because you get like 4 or 5 people that abuse it doesn't mean the whole lot of us are. Come on, get over it. And your patriotic responsibility should be to vote legally, not to let everybody under the sun go vote. You want to make sure the process is correct. And only one person and one vote. I heard they're having a hard time auditing the vote in Phoenix, Arizona, because of inconsistencies that happen. I can't wait to see the final report on that. Democrats have no clue what's going on. Their main focus is to maintain power, no matter what the consequences are. Because they feel like the longer they can hold on to power, the more they can shove their junk down our throats and make us support them. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. We have a constitutional process for everything. And you hear me a lot of times talk about the filibuster. But remember, just because you're in the majority doesn't mean you have complete control of the government. You should not reign tyranny over the government because you're in the majority. That's why minorities have rights, and you should give the minority speaking rights. Okay, that's the way it should always work. And June 5th, well, remember I was talking about episode 26 about nonpartisan results. It's your patriotic responsibility to go vote. I just said that. Okay? But, In a lot of the places here in Texas, we have nonpartisan elections. And it happened in Fort Worth. If you're listening to me from Fort Worth, or you have someone that lives in Fort Worth and you listen to this, you need to get them this episode. And you need to introduce them to episode 26 on the JP8 Report. Okay? Yeah. On June 5th, we have a runoff in Tarrant County for the mayor of Fort Worth against Deborah Peoples and Maddie Parker. Maddie Parker is the Republican, but in Fort Worth you have nonpartisan elections, so nobody knows who is a Democrat and who is a Republican. Well, I was looking at the election results from last night, and I was like, oh, wow, who is this Deborah Peoples? When I pulled up her campaign page, and I got like 2/3 way through, oh, wow, this girl's a flaming liberal. And sure enough, at the very end, said that she worked in the Texas Democratic Party. Why did she come out in first place out of the second, her and Maddie Parker? I hope the excuse is that there was a whole lot of people running for that office. But at least there's going to be a runoff. Remember, Maddie Parker is a conservative in the race. Vote for her. Alan West told me and told a whole bunch of other people a couple years ago. And Alan West is the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. Tarrant County is the last conservative urban bastion we have for conservatives in the state of Texas. It's not Austin. It's not El Paso. It's not San Antonio. It's not Houston. It surely ain't Dallas. It's Fort Worth, Tarrant County. You got to win this race. And then we got to barrel roll through it, take back the mid-cities and Dallas and move south. We got to. We cannot keep making inroads to the Democrats to win our state. We picked up 2 congressional seats. We got to fully defend them, keep them Republican, and then take back the Congress, and then take back the White House. That is your patriotic responsibility. Remember that going forward the rest of the day after you watch this. Our patriotic responsibility is to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to go vote and allow people to live in freedom. Okay? Remember life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, I'm going to go do my patriotic responsibility. I'm going to go to church. And I'm going to remember the people that fought and died for our country. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you for watching episode 29 of the JPA Report. Y'all have a great day, and I'll catch you on the flip side. This is James, and I'm out.